And I want to briefly kind of go over the 8 laws of health. Does anyone other than Jill, what do you know about the 8 laws of health? Can someone come off of mute and just kind of tell us what you know about the 8 laws of health?
What would I say is the 8 laws of health? Well, the New Start, the acronym that helps you remember it, with N for nutrition and E for exercise and W for water and S for sunshine, T for temperance and A for air, fresh air.
Yeah.
R for rest and T for trusting God.
Amen.
That makes it really easy if you can remember the acronym.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it makes a big difference. I know it does. It makes a big, huge difference if you keep that in mind. I think that every hospital and every nursing facility or place, they should bring all the people outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes, indeed. Fresh air. All of these things are so important. Actually, let me just, they are so important to our health. And I think that we underestimate, let me just put this here for her, the importance of it. Let me just show a little picture here. I'm going to do share my screen. Do I have any, before we start about, so we went over New Start. The first letter of New Start is N. It's nutrition. It's N for nutrition. Can someone tell me what is nutrition? And can someone give me a definition of nutrition? Just what you know about it. This is interactive, so you're all going to have to talk.
What we eat.
What do you say, Diane?
What we eat to take care of our, to fuel our body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Yep. What you eat to take care of your body.
To be healthy.
Healthy. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's supposed to be anyway, I guess.
Anyone else? Mona. All right. I'm going to give you and of course you can always enlarge and expand upon this definition, but a very simple definition is nutrition is a process of consuming food and using it to grow, maintain health, and perform daily activities. Consuming food to maintain health, to grow, and to perform daily activities. What are your thoughts about that?
For nutrition?
For nutrition, yeah.
The last part you said about performing daily activities?
Performing daily activities. It's needed, yep.
It's the
process of consuming food, and we're using it to grow, to maintain good health, and perform daily activities.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a good definition.
Okay.
Isn't it, Jackie? Can you hear me? Isn't it also like the study of food and how it affects us, our bodies?
That's nutrition science. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's understanding it. But nutrition science goes get it more into a more granular level of specificity of those foods that we consume to help us understand what we consume and how they work synergistically in order to provide health to our body, the health to our body that is needed. And in understanding that is a lot to it. And we're going to hit up on some of that, just a little bit. I have anyone else? Okay, I need you all to start chatting now. I'm going to ask you a question so you can get to the chat. On a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, rate the importance of your health to you. How important is your health? You can select any number between 1 and 5, with 5 being the highest.
You know my number.
I do. I do too. Sister Ayana said a 5. Sister Sheila, 5.
Mm-hmm.
Sister Diana, 3. A 5. Okay. Okay, 5. Okay. Sister Paulina, 5. That's how important. Okay. On a scale from 1 to 5, how prepared are you to make the necessary changes that are needed to improve your health? Key word here is change. How prepared are you to make the change? Sister Ayana, 4. Sister Pauline, a 3. Okay. That's, yep. Sister Diane, Sheila, 3. Okay. Those are some good numbers, and as long as they're honest numbers, because I think the key word here is change. Change is difficult, and some people don't understand the difficulty of change. Getting to nutrition or anything else, I think the biggest hurdle is change, and change requires a mind transformation. Another question I'm going to ask you, you can key it in the chat. When you think about food, what comes to mind? For instance, some people will say comfort foods. Some people will say, so honestly, when I think about food, when you think about food, key in the chat, stress, Sister Ayana. That's interesting. Stress come to mind when you think about food. Okay. Anyone else?
Oh, well, you already said nutrition. Right?
Preparation. Okay, that's good. What did you say, Jill?
Oh, I guess you said I'm supposed to put it in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. Fuel, right. Fuel. Preparation. Stress. Eating. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Very good. I'm about to ask you another question. Based upon the definition that I gave you for nutrition, let me give it to you one more time. Nutrition is the process of consuming food and using it, consuming food for the use and using it to grow, maintain health, and perform daily activities. So using that definition, on the scale from 1 to 5, how close in what you're eating today, how close is it coming to meeting this definition on a scale from 1 to 5? So that's Ayana, 2. Yeah.
5 probably.
5. Yeah, Jill's is a 5. 2. Okay, 2. 3. 3, Diane. Okay, all right. Right. Most of the world, I would take, especially those that's on a standard Western diet, it's probably, it's going to be zilch. I'm going to give you an interesting scenario. My children, we lived on the West Coast for a while when my kids were young. I'm thinking first grade, second grade, somewhere in there. And in California, and it was California, they provided breakfast for the children. And I was excited about that. I thought my kids could get a good nutrition.
I've been looking at your recipe, everything you have up there.
Huh? Oh, Jill,
I can't be in more than 10 minutes.
Can you put on mute real quick?
Hold on a second, okay?
I can hear you, Jill. Can you mute?
Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna mute you. Okay. So, and I was really excited about that. And of course they had the daily menu. They would send the daily menu out to the parents on a weekly basis. And one morning, so I looked at the menu, and morning 1, they had pizza. And it had some vegetables on it. We had a little pizza. Now, the definition I just gave you, nutrition is a process of consuming food, using it to grow, maintain health, and perform daily activities. Did that slice of pizza for my children meet this definition of nutrition? You can put your answers in the chat. No, absolutely. Absolutely. No, absolutely. Nope, it did not. And those are some things to think about. Yeah. So when I think about eating, and it wasn't always like this, I have always had a mindset to eat a full balanced diet. I fed my children a full balanced diet, but there was a lot, and of course I was raised on a farm also, but there's a lot more that I could have done. One of the things I believed in early morning, My kids never left home without me cooking a hot breakfast. Having a hot breakfast was very important to me, and having a breakfast that was going to, someone said fuel when they thought of food, fuel. Yes, exactly. Fuel that's going to get them through the day. Fuel that was going to give them, their minds were going to be bright. They were going to no fogginess of mind. They were going to be at their optimal level so that they could function at their optimal level in school for learning. We bring it home in 2025, and it started a long time ago. 90% of children go to school nutritionally unprepared. What are your thoughts about that? Put it in the chat. 90% of children go to school nutritionally unprepared for that day, meaning they have not consumed the foods for them to perform their activities. And when we say activities, they're mental, they're emotional, as well as their physical health that's needed to function at an optimal level. Yeah, true. That's right. Yeah, it's not shocking. Unfortunately, I hate to say again, these things start in the home. You know what? This is supposed to automatically, but let me start record. It did not. Okay. Okay, I'm going to have to go on and record. Sorry, so I can upload it to my Zoom. Okay, with that being said, well, I was going to say one other thing. Unfortunately, a lot of our dietary habits started in the home, even way before we were born, because even within cultures, we have a certain way of eating. And we know, for instance, Hispanic culture, very rich foods. The Mexican South, full of cheeses, full of pork and beef and, a lot of meat. Same with the Black culture, full of meat and almost even the vegetables. And some of my friends, I know we cook greens, meat. We have to put meat to flavor the greens. We had a lot of foods, a lot of things that we did. It was not, we learned from our environment. We learned from the culture. And it's just like anything else, just like religion. Typically, whatever political party or whatever religion my parents were, 99% of the time, that's what I was going to be as well. And when I say me, I'm just giving an example, because we are influenced by our cultures. We don't necessarily look at the dangers or things within our culture that's causing us harm. But some of these pellets, some of our pellets have been even developed in utero, meaning what mom eats when she's pregnant is developing the palate, the taste buds for her children. Second, what mom feeds the kids after utero is also developing a taste for their palate. Extra sweet, extra rich. And the thing about this is very difficult when we start off like this. It can be challenging to make those changes that are needed. Any questions so far? Okay. If I go back to the beginning of the Bible, and I think that we're all Christians here. If we go back to the beginning of the Bible, what was given man to eat? What were we told was good for food? Anyone, you can put in the chat, you can come off of mute and just say it.
Fruit.
Fruit. Fruits. Specifically, what types of fruits? Seed-bearing fruits.
Seed-bearing.
Yeah, seed-bearing fruits, yes. Foods that had seeds in them. They were good for food.
Why? Why seed-bearing?
Oh, think about it. Seed reproduces seeds. Seeds are from the natural earth, because you're going to take those seeds from that and you're going to replant them. And for some foods, the seed also provided a lot of nutrition. Not all foods. For instance, an apple. I don't know if you realize this, but The seeds of an apple, if ingested in your body, it activates cyanide poisoning. So not all seeds are good to eat. On the other hand, the fruit avocado, that seed is very good to eat. So the seed of the apple is going to be used for reproducing the apple of its kind, right? So you can look at it, an analogy of the seed can be an analogy of a man and a woman. You know, we were to procreate, is that we were reproducing one of our kind, right? And it was through the seed coming in. So the same thing was with vegetation. How long did man eat? How long did man live off of this vegetation? You all should know this. Sister Diane, where are you? When did man how long did we live off the vegetation? Hundreds of years. We did. Yep, hundreds of years. Is Sister Diane, are you there? All right, hundreds of years. Yes, okay. All right. Now, Sister Diane, you should know some of these answers. When did man really start eating meat?
After the flood, right?
After the flood, yeah, after the flood, because there was no vegetation. But even in eating that meat, there was a specific, getting ready to go a little bit more for it, specifically, how was man to consume that meat? I mean, it's laid out in the Bible, you know, exactly what type of meat man should eat.
So there was this a distinction between clean and unclean foods,
Yes.
both of land and sea.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Clean and unclean foods, you're right. To take it a little bit further. Oh, go on.
The blood had to be drained completely from it as well.
Yes. Yes. The blood had to be drained completely on it. And where that go back to is that, and what's going to make that distinction today is when you see the word kosher. When you see the word kosher on meat, that word means a lot. It means that the animal rights were protected, that these animals were cared for. They were, you know, they grass fed. They were grass fed. They were pasture raised. They were raised in pasture. They weren't raised in cages and stalls. They were slaughtered a certain way so that the blood would drain. All of the blood would drain out of the animal, and they were not. It was not a brutal slaughtering of that animal. They were to cut the knife went in quick so that animal was not in any type of stress, because stress of animals make the meat, from what I understand, a lot more. It's not as tender. So very special care was given to kosher meat. Kosher meat, even today, means that animal was raised, that animal was slaughtered in a humane way, not in a non-humane way. Now, I'm not saying all of this to promote one thing or one. I'm not promoting meat for you to eat it or not eat it. This is just, you know, for us just kind of do a review and just kind of go over some of the history. So what that means, that the exact same way biblically that are the instructions that God gave men back in the Bible, in the Old Testament, or should be the same instructions that we follow today. If we do eat meat, we want to make sure that they follow that guideline, all of the blood. Why? There was another scripture that said, why is it important that all of the blood is drained?
The life is in the blood.
The life is in the blood, as well as the disease, meaning disease. Yes, the life is in the blood. Yeah, yeah. You know, so we and if you look at, you know, what I'll just give you this too, and you can check on this yourself. Yeah. When did man go from living 800, 700 years down to 100, 120 years? There was a big jump there. So I'll let you do. Huh?
After the flood.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, after the flood.
Yeah. After the flood. Right. And there are some vegetables, even if you look at from a biblical perspective, there are things that the Bible talks about. Like it is understood that the lentil stew that Jacob was it Esau? Yeah, that Esau really loved, that it was like a lentil stew. And so even about farming, even in the Bible, they were taught how to farm. And one of the things that we have lost today, specifically here in America, we still have some countries outside of America that are adhering to the guidelines to let your pasture rest, to let your land rest. The other thing, letting your land rest, and not doing these monoculture farming techniques where you're only growing one particular, like you're just all cotton or all edamame. Those were things because the diversity in the crop, as well as the diversity in the land, is what kept our foods, our fruits, and our vegetables healthy. In order for us to get the optimal nutritional, even in our food, the earth has to be at its optimal. And in the United States of America, we are not. And that is because of herbicides. That's because of using the herbicides and the sprays, all of the things that rather than natural things for crops, in order to prevent or pesticides, some of those things, in order to prevent pests and some of the insects and some of the other animals or insects that were part of the ground, the land. And in doing that, in man spraying, putting a lot of the what word am I trying to use? The pest. Jill, what word am I trying to use? Jill's on mute. The pesticides and all of the
pesticides.
Yes, the pesticides. So what they started doing is rather than using the natural products, we started using making and using synthetic products because of money, of course. And in doing that, a lot of contaminants, toxins were created. And we started spraying our crops with these things. And as a result, some of the spraying of our crops with these pesticides and herbicides, what they did was they also killed off a lot of the earth insects that were there for the diversity and for the health of our soil. In some countries, they have red soils, but soil, and I'm telling you, it is really adulterated now. So in saying that, so now we have, today we have what they call organic. And in America, even organic in America is not the same organic as Australia. So we even have our various definitions for organic based upon countries. There are a lot of countries, especially like India and some of Australia, some of them are still using some of the natural products, fertilizers and things. That's the word I'm looking for, fertilizer. I don't know if you know, and this is just, I'm going to throw this in. What is a natural fertilizer? Has anybody heard? What would be a natural fertilizer? Manure. Manure. That's why the animals were needed. That's why it was so important that the animals were grass fed. That they were free range. They ate of the earth, because especially the clean animals, like the cows and the chickens, they ate of the earth, and then they expelling from what they had eaten. It went back into the earth to keep our soils fertile and enriched in its vitamins and minerals for us to consume. And I know this may not sound all that inviting to you, but it is true. Coming up as a little girl, the chicken coop, my grandmother had a chicken coop, and they had huge gardens back then. I was like, probably about 1960, I would say 1959, 1960. And what they used was the manure from the chicken coop. That's what they used, and that's kept away pesticides, animals, and this was natural. The food was wonderful. Any questions so far? I need some questions. Anybody going to ask any questions? Anybody want to ask me a question?
Well, for the people who may think that it's so far-fetched that cow dung or feces from animals was used as the best manure, they may want to look into the fact that within the gut, it's filled with a lot of bacteria. And that
Yeah.
does help to build a healthy immune system.
Yeah.
So it's not that far-fetched that the manure came from where it came from to do its part to help to give us healthy foods to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in
Thank
the
you.
Caribbean, that's what a lot of farmers, especially in the countryside, that's what they use as fertilizer. So that's not anything strange, at least to us. However, because of the commercialization of farming, it has become less and less used because one, it's more expensive than the fertilizers that are manufactured, and then they use all those pesticides and things. So it has become less popular to use those natural fertilizers as people try
Yeah.
to get bigger crops and quicker growth and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. Yes. And then, of course, they want you to buy the fertilizers. They want you to buy them, losing money. Everybody, I mean, Monsanto and all of those. You've heard of the poisons, how they poison our land and poison the foods and all of the, so it is still about big money. It's about money. And health is no longer, unfortunately, America, one of the richest countries in the world. But yet, when it comes to our health, it's sad that our health here, when I'm talking about our health, I'm talking about the FDA. I'm talking about the farmers and the ones that are the money makers. Making money is more important to them than the health of their of the citizens, of the people. Health is not that important to them. But let me go on. I don't want to get on that. Let me just share a PowerPoint. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So nutrition. This is what nutrition look like. This is what nutrition should look like. This is what our food should look like when we're eating. Minimal to no processing whatsoever. In order to get the benefit of what was given to us in the garden, we need to go back to the garden way of eating. For instance, we ate the apple instead of the apple pie. We cracked the seeds and the nuts. We ate those. And there are a lot of things that you can, a lot of and that's not to say that you can't eat an apple pie, because I think now there is a way to cook an apple pie where it is not contaminated with a lot of sugars and fats and butters. But this is what healthy eating looked like, and even from a breakfast perspective, would someone give me what would you consider a good healthy breakfast? You can come up here. You can come
Oatmeal.
up. What did you
Oatmeal or
say that?
fruit.
What did you say? Go
Dana,
on.
you were
You can
saying
say
something
oatmeal
before.
and fruit.
I said fruit. I think
Fruit. Oh,
someone else
yeah.
said oatmeal.
Okay. Okay. Oatmeal. Oatmeal. Well, actually, for breakfast, fruits and nuts would be the very healthiest. Walnuts. Walnut is a fat. It is a healthy fat. We need fats in order for our brain. We need fats for focus. That's the thing that we want to look at. And I said that, you know, the scripture said, "Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." Our mind have to change or be transformed when we look at food, because we have culturally taken on some of our food behaviors. Influences have dictated some of our eating behaviors, and even schools. For instance, when I was in elementary school, there was no such things as snacks. We did not have snacks. I had breakfast, I had lunch, and I had dinner. We didn't have snacks. So they started snacking. We have snacking now in schools, and And so if you look at this, this little pyramid here, what's at the lower, here we have, I'll go back to my screen. I think I clicked on it. Let me go back. If we look at the food pyramid, we have our fruits, we have our leafy greens, and then we have our high-fat foods. Another good fat, let me ask you a question. Would you consider having spinach, half an avocado, a few berries with some sort of dressing, throwing in either your I want to say almonds or your walnuts? Would you consider that a good breakfast?
I
Yes
know
or
the
no?
avocado would be good. I've never had spinach for breakfast before.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah. You never had spinach for breakfast before. But so there's a so that right there shows that our behaviors and our eating patterns are based on our culture, on our culture and our family environment. Would you agree with that, Sister Denise?
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, that would have been one of the most healthiest breakfasts because these types of fats, these are fats that our bodies were created to process and that our body knows how to process. The fats that we have, like butters and the processed fats, these were foreign substances to our body. Why? Because the butter is probably not as man-made. Margarine is 100% synthetic man-made. We had something called high fructose corn syrup. That's nothing more than a chemical that causes brain damage. And we see it in breads, we see it in cereals. So these are more types of this. What about up here, up here where you see the apples, you see the pumpkin seeds and the granolas? Does that look good or not? What do you say? Does that look
It
like a
looks
good
good.
breakfast?
It looks
Yeah.
good. It looks
Would you
good.
be willing to eat it for breakfast?
Sure. You gonna buy it for me?
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. How- However, in order to look at this picture and see it from a nutritional perspective, we have to change the way we look at food. Remember, the definition was given. Nutrition is a process of consuming food to grow, for growth, to maintain health, and to perform daily activities. 90%, if foods are not in this picture, it's not designed to do so. A lot of the stuff that we're going to eat, let's just say oatmeal has some fiber. Let me ask you another question. When I think about the things that my food need to provide for me, or the nutrients, let's say when I think of when you're thinking about the nutrients that are needed in order to fuel your day, what do you think about in your food? What type of nutrients do you need, or macronutrients?
I don't know. Is carbohydrate a nutrient? Isn't that what we need for energy?
Do
Carbohydrates or
you?
no? I
Yeah,
don't know.
a carbohydrate,
Protein,
but go on. What did he say?
magnesium, psyllium.
Yeah, it is. And yeah. But when we
Okay,
look at
iron.
nutrients, we want to look at food from the food perspective. So and so you're right. So the nuts, we're going to look at the fruit, we're going to look at the oatmeal. So, but let me just break it down into these segments. Protein, fat, carbohydrate, protein, fat, and carbohydrate. Do you think of those things when you're thinking about your meals, putting your meals together? And when I say carbohydrate, we want to look at complex carbs, not simple carbs. Any questions?
I have a question. Does a
Okay.
shake count? Like, I know you talk about natural fruit, but what if you chop it up with like soy milk or something like that? Is that considered nutritious or no?
Well, the fruit, well, Soy, let me see. Well, yes and no. There are some healthy plant-based milks that you can get. There's some healthy plant-based milks that you can make. The problem when we look at healthy, when we look at healthy, we want to also include the word processed. Processed foods has caused metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is the cause for obesity, heart attack, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and some of the others. And so looking at processed foods is when we're looking when we look at our nutrition, do we want to minimize our processed food intake, you think? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, we want to process. So in that being said, and again, you don't just start this all of a sudden in one day. This is again, the mind has to be changed and transformed. We have to look at food differently. Food is not just something to eat. That mind has to be changed, is that nutrition builds my body up to fight against disease. Nutrition gives me the energy. It gives me the focus. It gives me brain health that I need in order to function at optimal level during the day. Most processed foods are filled with chemicals. They're filled with fillers. They're filled with all type of carcinogenics because the shelf life of that food has to be maintained. Meaning that they put stuff in it so that it can stay on the shelf longer. You think about some of these things. And I'm not saying that to be facetious. I didn't think about those things. I grew up on a farm, therefore I always fed my kids real food, what I call real food. We didn't do a lot of box baking. Even my, everything we did was homemade, basically. And if you'll notice today, we are not living in a society of healthcare. We're living in a society of sick care. And meaning that even when we get sick and we go to the doctor, how many times going to that doctor for that treatment is there a 100% cure? Meaning that when I get done with my treatment, I'm not on any medications, and my health has been restored to completeness. Healthcare should be to restore our life to completeness, to health, without being maintained by pharmaceuticals. Any questions? Nutrition, new start, nutrition. Exercise is good, which is the E in nutrition, in new start, exercise. Our brain loves exercise. Our psyche loves exercise. Our emotions love exercise, and our physical fitness, our physical body loves exercise. And exercise doesn't mean that you go out and you have to go, get a membership at a zoo, at a fitness center. These are some things. Look at the two here walking. That is enough exercise. Even if you're starting off doing 15 to 30 minutes a day, out in the sunshine, getting that good vitamin D. Some of these exercises here. And doing exercises that are good for our health. Exercising also helps our food to digest. Exercising helps our blood flow to continue to flow with ease and not become so congested. Exercise, and I think you can measure that. How often are we exercising compared to how much we're sitting? I say that for myself because I have a sit-down job. I make sure that I have to get up and do some videos. Give me a 15-minute workout, give me a 20-minute workout, because I want to keep my body, I want to keep my blood flowing. I want to keep my brain at its working at its optimal. Exercising is good for de-stressing. If I've had a stressful meeting, exercise. Going outside for a walk doesn't have to be strenuous, but God made us, if you remember, God made us not to sit around. He made us to move. We're to be movers. We're to be out in the earth, out in life, out in nature, enjoying the benefits of nature, the benefits of the trees, the benefits of the foliage that is supposed to be how would you say, moving some of the contaminants and toxins from our environment. Out in nature is where we're closest to God. So exercise is good for the brain. Depression is good for the head. It's good for the heart. It boosts our creativity, and we get better energy, and we feel good. It releases those feel good hormones, which are the dopamine and the serotonin. We get more endorphins, and doing it in a natural environment. You know, even if you go outside, if you're close to a park, just go out and walk around. You don't have to, just start small and work your way up. Water. So many of my clients hate water. I have clients really do not like to drink water. And so what I tried to I'm showing this picture because I tried to get creative and help them to at least get started. And of course, I know none of you all have that problem here, but even just by infusing it with some of your fresh fruits that you love, look how pretty it is. I think that's the other thing, is that when we're in our foods, we want our foods to look pretty, our salads to be a diversified of foods and colors, that it looks delectable. And what it does is that it incites our taste buds. Sometimes then we may not even like salad, but when we see the diversity of all the beautiful vegetables and all of the green leaves, it incites our taste buds to even want it. And here we can do things like infusing the water. And how we drink water is not gulp it down. In order to keep our bodies hydrated, we want to sip on it throughout the day. Just carry your little something to sip on it. Just sip on it, keeping your body hydrated. You know, look at all of these things. Mint. I love mint in my water. We can do mint. We can do cucumber. I like cucumber and mint. Kiwi. Look at the berries. Pineapple. There's a plethora of fruits that you can use to infuse your water. If you're one that don't necessarily consume enough water or don't even like the taste of water. Some of the other things I'm thinking that you could, just start off small and just kind of build your way up to other, to where you're drinking it. You can, let's say that I think what you should be consuming is half your body weight. Some people just say 32 ounces of water a day, but that's going to be contingent. We're all different because a lot of it has to do with our bodies, how our absorption level in our bodies. That's why there's no one size there's no one size that fit all. So some of our bodies, we can absorb water and retain it more so than others. But whatever, as you begin to consume more water, you will start, I think you get a feel as to how much water you're going to need in order to you want to keep your body hydrated and fight against dehydration. What are some of the things that dehydrate us? Come on, guys, you're talking to me.
Eating too much salt.
Okay, coffee.
Salt.
Coffee is one. Coffee is one.
Sodas.
Yes, sodas.
Sugars.
Sodas. Sugar, yes. Processed foods are another because they're so high in sodium. That's the big thing with processed foods. They're huge in sodium. You see this can right here? Do you all see my can? Can you see it really good? Okay.
Jackie,
This is a can.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I've been reading a lot of articles lately on water. So basically they saying to drink room temperature instead of cold water with ice.
That is true. I do not put cold water. I do not put ice in my water. And I do not eat my food with water. Your water if you're going to drink water, it should be anywhere from at least minimal 30 minutes before you eat, and don't drink again until 30 minutes after you eat. And next week I'll come back and tell you why. Water should be room temperature, consumed room temperature. Ice water, especially if you think about this, if you eat a lot of foods, and this is just one reason, there are multiple reasons. If you eat foods that are high in fat, let's say that I just had a fried egg. When you eat this fried egg, you're eating all the oil you put in that fried egg to cook it. And now you're drinking now you're drinking ice water. What is that ice? When it hits that oil, what is it going to do?
Float.
Yep.
Rise up.
Yep. Minimum water. That's why we had the stream waters. We were, even biblical time, they drank from the stream. Refreshing, yes.
I
And
didn't
if you
hear
want to
Sister
do,
I didn't hear Sister Diana's answer.
oh, I'm sorry. So what was your answer, Sister Diana?
I was saying it floats, it goes up.
It goes, yeah, it turns, it gels and it floats up. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You have with, yeah. And you can see that when you put in the skillet. Yeah. So these are some waters, and you want to sip on your water throughout the day. You don't want to just gulp it down. You want to sip on it. And even at night, it's good to drink water at night. I can't tell you, you want your body to be hydrated. Drinking water at night has prevented a lot of people from having heart attacks. Before bed is a good time. And I know a lot of people says, well, I'd be up. One of the things that you can try is chia seeds in your water. If you put chia seeds in no more than one, you can do 1 tablespoon. If you do chia seeds, you don't want to do more than 2 tablespoons a day. Chia seeds, explode, or what do you call the word? They expand and they absorb the water. So if you're drinking that water, if you're drinking the chia seeds in your water, chia seeds automatically take in the water and it releases it through your body at a regular rate so that you can, so that it keeps you hydrated throughout the night without you going back and forth to the bathroom. So that's, if you have any type of bladder issues, you are concerned, and you have problems with waking up during the night, if you want to drink that water, is very good before bedtime. You may want to try drinking it with a tablespoon of chia seeds. And those chia seeds will even help you stay hydrated, with that water through the night.
So are you chewing up the chia seeds?
No, you're going to put them in the water. And it probably takes, what I do is I will put mine in, I create my water during the water that I'm going to take, maybe about 6 p.m. Put your chia seeds, you want to give it time for the chia seeds to expand, and then you're just going to drink them. So you won't be chewing them, you'll just be drinking it down with your water. And as it hits your, yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is just any chia seeds, it doesn't have to be organic?
I always do organic. And then here's a good guideline though. You don't have to, have you ever heard of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15? The Dirty Dozen, it is something that you can get off, and I will have it next time. Of the Dirty Dozen, these are the things that you ought, anytime consumed, you want to make sure that these are absolutely organic. But you don't, and if it's the Clean 15, you don't have to worry about these being organic. Chia seeds, I would say, don't so much. If you don't, if price is a problem, don't so much worry about them being organic. I just automatically buy organic chia seeds.
And where do you buy them from?
I can, you can get them from Walmart. So here's what my list that I give to people. If you have an Aldi's, see if Aldi's have them, because their price, sometimes Aldi's and Walmart's going to be about the same price. Walmart's will have organic chia seeds. I get mine from Costco. Any of those stores will have chia seeds.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And this is where I do. If I can get something at Walmart or Aldi's organic, I'm going to get it there first. Like I do. Yeah, I do raw honey. I'm going to get it those stores, because at Whole Foods, I'm going to pay a lot more for it. Yeah.
Mm.
And that's it. Yeah. If you can get things organic, at Aldi's or Walmart, go there first before you hit the other stores, because they're going to be a little bit more expensive. Sunshine. I can't say enough about sunshine. That vitamin D for that sunshine. Now let me share some with our brothers and sisters of color, and this means Hispanic. We do not absorb as much vitamin D from the from the sunshine because of the melanin in our skins. And that's a good thing, because the melanin in our skins also prevent us from getting skin cancer. So we don't absorb as much from the sunshine as our Caucasian, or even that. I mean, I think even Hispanics, Italians, darker skinned people do not absorb as much from the sunshine, the vitamin D, because of the melanin in our skin. However, the sunshine still is good for good brain health. It is good to fight against depression. You're still getting some benefits of just being in the sun and absorbing it. You will get some vitamin D. And so with that being said, all people of color need to know what their vitamin D level is. Vitamin D is a hormone. Vitamin D is required. It is needed. And if it's not at the recommended level, and we can ask your doctor to test your vitamin D level. Don't assume. I wouldn't assume anything about any vitamin. You want to ask your care provider to run tests to see where your deficiencies are. When my doctor, I have a holistic practitioner, when she did my vitamin D level on me, and I was out in the sunshine a lot. It was like 20 milligrams below what it should have been. It should be a 40. And it took me about, I'd say, 3 months, and I had to double the dosage. So I was doing like 20 milligrams of it a day in order to get in order to get my vitamin D level to what it should be. Vitamin D is very essential for bone health. Vitamin D is needed to help your body absorb calcium, which is the other thing about osteoporosis and these things. You need the vitamin D to help your body to absorb the calcium. You need both for good bone health as well as for the natural immunity, to support the natural immunity of your body. And you can actually look up all the benefits of vitamin D. But all people of color should be on a vitamin D supplement. All of them.
Okay, so I have a question regarding that, because why not the natural sunshine?
Because you still want to get the natural sunshine. Because of the melanin in our skin, we do not absorb as much vitamin D from the sunshine. We don't absorb enough to get our vitamin D level and sustain it to where it needs to be.
You mean in this country?
Well, in any country.
Because oftentimes people in the Caribbean don't need supplements.
What do they know what their vitamin D level is?
Yeah,
They check.
because
Yes, they
what
do.
happens is we check it, because it's sunny most of the time and a lot of us work outside. We
Yeah.
don't have much vitamin D deficiency, and we most of the time they only check it like if they get certain symptoms, then they will check the vitamin D levels. But most of the time we hardly get any vitamin D deficiency
Okay.
based on our climate, because it's sunny most of the year.
Okay. And those for people that work outside, because if you're not an outside worker or your country, I think that here in the United States, the Seattle, that up north, because of so much rain, they don't get as much sunshine. But make sure you have your vitamin D level checked. You want to always keep it checked, and you want to always make sure that it's at the level that it should be. Does that make sense? And I'm going to do a study. I just did it. I'll go back and include in my vitamin D studies. I'm going to look at the countries, because the thing is, and you can look this information up. There are scientific studies that shows this. All of the work I do is based upon scientific, scientific studies. And maybe there is, but it's the melanin within darker complected peoples, me. It's the melanin that's in our skin that prevents us from absorbing as much vitamin D as would a Caucasian or a European. But I'm going to do a study on that. And maybe there's something more in the Caribbean. I don't think I ever did a distinction between, I didn't do a distinction in the study between America and other areas, but I'll do that. Yeah, I'm doing it because I would be interested, because it is the melanin in our skin that prevents the absorption, but it also, the melanin in our skin prevents us from getting skin cancer. Would you say that this is all areas of the Caribbean, Paula?
Um, for the most part, I was listening to Dr. Schultz yesterday because he had a program on, and it's interesting that he was talking about light, and what he really was saying in regards to the sunlight and this part of the world, including some of the European countries, is that sometimes cloud cover prevents the red light from being absorbed into our skin as much as it would compared to the Caribbean countries, which don't have sometimes, for the most part, that much cloud cover. I personally had visited the Caribbean last year summer, and it wasn't for a long time. And my vitamin D, I was just there for about 10 days. My vitamin D levels were above the normal just for being there. And I wasn't really out there outside every day, but I tried to get as much sun exposure as I could.
Yeah,
But regularly when I'm here, it's low.
yeah,
So I say all that to say maybe the penetration for the Caribbean lifestyle is quicker and easier to get beyond that melanin in the skin versus the United States of America with the colder parts of the country, because you do have places that are not always so cold, and maybe they don't have the low levels as some of us who live in for example, New York, Connecticut, Jersey, those
yeah,
parts.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thanks
Mine
for
was really,
saying that, Sister Pauline. Because I live in Florida, and in
Yeah, my
Florida,
name
and I
is
work.
Paula.
Miss Paula, oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. Because living in Florida, it's always sunny. Very rarely is it cold. And I work from my sunroom, and I have my windows open. So I get a lot of sun working in my office. So would that be considered natural sunlight, Sister Jackie?
it would, yeah, yeah, it would.
Okay.
You're getting
All
some
right.
sunlight, even if you're getting it through that window. Yes, yeah, I do the same.
Okay.
I work in my office and I try to make, I want to get as much sun as I can. Yes.
Okay.
And
But
Thank
that
you.
was
again,
something he also touched on. He was saying that a lot of these buildings in this country put windows in, even in the homes, that
yeah,
keeps out that red light type of ray that we get from the sun. And
yeah,
so he's like, we spend too much time, even when the sun does come out, he was saying some people are still not getting the exposure from it like they should, because the culture is now protecting us so much from
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So
Yeah. And if you like in the morning time, and you don't need to have, you don't have to do a lot. I would go in the morning when, when spring and summer come, when I can go outside, I can go out there and sit on my patio for 15, 20 minutes. Do that once in the morning, once in the evening. I think the thing is you want to get those times and the hit the times going outside between, I think it's 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. before 3. That's when you're going to get the optimal level from the sun of your vitamin D and your penetration. And again, I'm going to look at my studies because I really want to see my study. I want to see what the study says and get information, because it's going to be more information in the study that probably that tells me why, to see the distinction. I think the key thing from here, though, make sure you know what your vitamin D level is, and you want to make sure that it is always what it should be. You do not want your vitamin D, because with the low vitamin D, you're going to be exposed to a lot more illnesses. You'll be exposed to illnesses, but you will contract a lot more of these illnesses. You want to make sure your vitamin D level is what it needs to be. So make sure you get those. Temperance is another thing. Exercising self-control. Boy, this is the T in New Start. Temperance. Mm. And this is something to exercising self-control. It can come with let me just ask a question. What are some of the things that you can do to exercise self-control? Just think of
pray.
some natural things. Go on.
I was saying to pray because it's a very
Yep.
oh my God. I think the mindset it comes, it's even tied into a psychological mindset too, because sometimes we eat even when we're full.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So that for me is a challenging one, and that's why I said pray.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. And yeah. And the temperance come with exercising self-control. That is a big one. In fact, in one of Sister White's writings, she said, if we cannot exercise self-control over appetite, we most certainly will not be able to do it over sin. And I am just paraphrasing her. Self-control and appetite is a hard one. Appetite is a big one, and for various reasons. But temperance and self-control and learning what fits best for you. Some people will pray, and yes, pray. Some people will exercise and pray, whatever is needed, do it all. Drink water. When it comes to food, some of the things oh gosh, there are a lot of many different tricks that we can, I don't want to call them tricks, but things that we can do, because a lot of times, like Paula said, we eat and we're not even hungry. So that eating is probably the result of something else: stress, nervousness, fear, something else that's triggering the eating. The eating is just like, can be just like drugs to a drug addict. Is that it's that they have some drug addicts, they take the drug in order to cope, to deal with things. We can use food the same way. We can, and we do. In the church, we do. And it takes us to realize and understand that, and then asking God to give us the strength to overcome it. But overeating is another big thing for health and wellness that causes a lot of diseases. Why? Because when we're eating, we should minimally allow 5 hours between ingesting anything, because it takes 4 to 5 hours, and this is going to be contingent upon the individual. It could be more for some individuals, probably not less, but it could be more. It requires that at least 4 to 5 hours for your food to digest. Meaning, if I've eaten breakfast, it's going to take 4 to 5 hours for me to digest what I have eaten at breakfast. If I eat a snack at 10, let's say I eat breakfast at 8 and I eat a snack at 10, my breakfast hasn't digested. I'm just adding more food in my body, and I'm just going to keep it in a continuous cycle of digesting, overworking, and when I'm talking about digesting, I'm talking about all of the organs, the organ system that's involved with digestion, even your liver. I'm talking about all of that. The entire digestive pathway is consistently working.
So, in other words, fasting could be very beneficial.
Very. Yes, very, very beneficial. Fasting can be a way to get our eating habits under control too, and maybe not for everyone, and because I think that we're all different, but whatever works, God will help us. If God can help us. Sometimes we're eating, we're not hungry. Drink water. I think that we get that water and keep it before us. That will help us. We're not hungry. Just drink some water. Sometimes our body is dehydrated. Drink that water. Sometimes our brain is confused because we've given it so many chemicals. It can't distinguish between the two. So it's almost like, again, we have to bring everything back into control again. We have to get it back into balance. And getting it back into balance is going to be, I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle. Then once we get it back into balance, even temperance, it would be just a matter of maintaining. Moderation in all things, helpful, total act. So this is what temperance means. Moderation in all things that are healthful. That means, for instance, nuts. I can only eat a handful. I can't just keep eating nuts out of the nut bag because that's not moderation. I'm getting too much fat through those nuts, and that's going to put weight on. So moderation is learning how to eat a handful of nuts and put the rest away. Learning how to eat a portion size of something and putting the rest away. And because even if it's healthy, moderation in all things What temperance means, I am to exhibit moderation in all things helpful. And the other thing it means, total abstinence from all things that are harmful. Exercising
So
self-control. Go on.
can I ask you this then?
Yes.
For your group, which includes myself, I believe that if we commit to one temperance goal per week, for example, it might be a small thing. For me, as I'm listening to you, intellectually, I know all that you're saying. Um, However, when it's time to shut the food noise off, it can be a challenge.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
I would like to challenge myself starting tonight until I talk with you again by God's grace and mercy and His will.
Yeah.
That I could say I took on one temperance goal that I would start practicing. Uh, of course, as we continue, we can share. It's like holding each other, kind of like a partner accountability to help us
Yes.
through it.
Yeah.
So, I think mine is, I'll process what mine is and then I'll share it next week. Or if somebody else on the line have a better suggestion to do, I would be very open to it. But I want to take away, you shared a lot of information and I'm thanking you. God bless your heart for it. But I'm one of these type of mindset that believes if I'm going to invest my time, I need to walk away with something that I could actually practice and put into practice to help my situation or my condition to start improving. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think temperance might be a bigger challenge for most of us on this line. Not all of us, but maybe most of us, with something or the other. And it doesn't have to be food. Right now, mine is food because I tend to eat when I am bored or by myself, or my mind is idle and I'm not doing some type of math. And I may say, okay, let me see what I could snack on,
Yeah.
which is overeating.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just wanted to know if we come to a consensus to have one temperance goal that we want to strive to at least start working on.
I agree. And that which was going to conclude the meeting with, and I wasn't going to select necessarily temperance, but I was going to give everyone an option. And Paula,
Okay.
no, one goal is sufficient, and that is huge. That is not small. One goal is that is sufficient. A lot of times we can take on more than we can handle, and then we get disappointed. One goal. We don't have to restart. One goal, just one goal is enough to walk away from here with. That one goal it could be even, I'm going to drink an extra cup of water. Right now I consume X number of ounces. I'm going to add 8 ounces. If you can only handle one goal, that is sufficient for you. If you can handle two, go for it. But the thing is, don't, and yes, this is about not just getting a lot of stuff, but a lot of information. But what can you take away from this information? It could be one thing, it could be two things, it could be three things. And one thing is still huge because just the fact that I am going to step out and do something is huge because the mind fights against change. The mind fights so hard against change. So that is the biggest hurdle. And taking on that temperance, coming up with one thing that I'm going to exercise temperance in, it is huge. How many of us want to do temperance? And one thing that we want to, and you can select one thing. What do you want to do in moderation? Or what do you want to abstain from that is harmful? Anyone?
Mine is gonna be okay. Mine will be not to buy snacks that I know I have a weakness for. It's literally going to literally try and avoid those aisles. Starting,
a
no,
good
for
one.
me, starting this week.
Okay, great.
I'm literally going to write it down.
Okay, great. I got you. That's a very good one. And
Okay. I'm gonna give up chocolate. I love
Oh
chocolate.
my Lord, that's a
I love.
challenge right there. Wait a minute, you can't just jump out like that.
Sorry, Paula. I had to. I'm just like, oh my god, chocolate is my world. I'm telling you,
Mercy.
everything is chocolate for me. But I also know that carob is good, but it doesn't give me that
Yeah.
yeah.
that great taste. But yeah, I'm gonna give up. I'm gonna give up some chocolate.
But wait a minute, let's just negotiate. So, Jackie, chocolate is really, really that bad?
I don't, let me just give you my perspective. And you can do
Yeah.
studies. I actually, and I'll start bringing some of my studies, because I'm going to go back and do research on the vitamin D and why those that in the Caribbean with that exposure, because I have my interest and have been piqued in that. I do chocolate, but I do 100% cacao.
Oh, dark.
Yeah. And some people, and then when
Okay.
I don't do chocolate every day, when I say I do chocolate,
Girl.
I have recipes I have a recipe where I have a raw chocolate cheesecake that I make, and I use the cacao in that, and I use dates to make, it's like a turtle cheesecake, and I use the dates that when you blend them up, they turn into a caramel, and I put coconut in them. And so
Sounds
the
good.
cheesecake is, yeah. And I use 100% cacao, and I make sure that there's no sugar in it. There's no sugar in it. So I make my own things that I eat, with cacao. And some people that know Adventists believe more in carob because they feel that there is some caffeine. Uh, Chocolate is considered to have caffeine in it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't feel
Okay.
that I feel that it has more health benefits, and I don't get
Yeah.
any type of jitters or anything from caffeine.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's just so but that would be good if you're talking about your chocolate candies and things like that. That would be a good, Sister Pauline.
Yeah,
Is
pray
that
for
going to be
me,
your
y'all.
your goal?
Yes, pray for me, y'all.
Okay.
We're gonna have to pray for each other, I tell you, because
Yes. When I go down the aisle of the grocery store, I'm gonna be praying for you, Paula. So do the same
Thank
thing.
you so much. Yep. Let me be blinded to all of it because oh Lord help me. Help us.
Amen.
Anyone else want to try?
Um, I'm gonna try, but as I said, the prices in Trinidad is like crazy because we have to
Mhm.
pay like $35 a pound for grapes.
Oh.
You have to pay $35 for what?
Grapes. So
Grapes,
one,
something natural and healthy to eat.
yeah. So
Crazy.
the thing is like, okay, to me, what happens a lot with people is that they want to eat healthy, but the healthier foods cost more, and
Yeah.
because of cost of living, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people have a lot of bills to pay. So I'm like, for example, me, when I pay my bills, let's say I have
Mm-hmm.
$500 left. That's for groceries, and you can't get much groceries with
Mm-hmm.
$500. And if you want to spend on healthy stuff, you're getting even less.
Right.
So that's the cost of healthy living is like very expensive. I spend like $5 for one apple, $35 for a pound of grapes, $5 to $10 for a pear.
What?
Um, yeah, $100 for $110 for a pack of almonds in Price Mart. That may last you about 2 weeks or 3 weeks according to how you eat it. So the cost of the price of healthy eating is pretty high. Because like
Yeah.
broccoli is like $35 a pound, $40 a pound. That's in
That's
Trinidad.
not
So
American dollars. That's not American dollars,
no,
right?
TT, yeah, TT dollars. Trinidad dollars.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they don't have markets where you could probably go. It might
That's
be
the
a
price.
good distance.
That's the price in the market.
Oh wow.
That's the price in the market. So
Farmers? Do they have any farmers?
say that again.
Farmers. Do they have any farmers? Can you get them cheaper
Yeah.
from the farmers?
No, because the farmers bring it to the market and that's the prices on the on the on the market.
Mm.
Because remember, the grapes is not natural in Trinidad. It's imported.
Yeah,
Apples, it's imported.
yeah.
Pears is imported. Bananas might be $4 or $5 a pound. According
Huh.
to mangoes might be three for $25 according to. So yeah, food. The price of food to me is a major factor of how
Yeah,
people
right.
how people eat and how what they choose to eat.
Yeah.
Because some people like me, I would rather eat fruits than eat food because food. I just have to force myself to eat food. But the thing is, fruits one is expensive and two don't last long. So you have to have a constant supply, and that's where the issue is. But you have to make certain compromises to eat the way as healthy as they could. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's one of the major issues. A lot of people when who I talk to about eating healthy, that's their major issue.
What
The
about
price
fruits
of
that
these
are
healthy
local
food.
to, what about fruits that are local to Trinidad? Can you get those cheaper?
So we have like oranges. Oranges is like $6 for one. It wouldn't be it's not much cheaper. It's not much cheaper. It's basically the same price. So and then if it like okay when you make market here, if I buy a bundle of spinach spinach, if I'm not using it within a day or two, I have to freeze it
Yeah, yeah,
because if it stays 4 days in the fridge, it stays long. But if I'm not using it within that time, I have to freeze it because it will spoil.
yeah. Right.
The
Yeah,
same thing with onions and garlic and all of these things. And to me, is due to the pesticides and stuff that they use in the fresh food don't really last as long as it used to.
yeah.
You know,
What
so
what are the possibilities of starting like a healthy girls food club where you're coming together and you're pitching in together, buying the food and splitting it? I mean, that's just an idea. I mean, just if you could find other women or other people that's interested in changing some of their health, and you can come together and say, hey, let's put our monies together and let's purchase these types of things and then split it between you. Would that make it easier?
I could think about it. The thing is to
Yeah,
find
think
people who
about that.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good
yeah.
idea.
Think about it.
Mm.
Yeah,
A very
yeah,
good idea. And it doesn't have to be that you go crazy and buy all the fruits right now. Just,
right.
if you find two other girls or buddies and the three of you decide, okay, this is what we want to agree on, and you go down that little by little. You never know. That club may grow bigger than you could ever imagine with God in the midst.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah. And the health message is a good way to meet other people, good dialogue for people that can't dialogue on faith. When it comes to health, you have that commonality. It could be a way of meeting people. What about, do they have like I want to say, do they have like pantries and mobile food pantries and things like that in Trinidad? Or
No,
no? No. Okay.
no.
But think about that, think like God. I'm gonna pray that God give you some ideas, but increasing your water
Yeah,
intake is good. So I'll put
yeah,
you down for that. That's wonderful.
yeah.
Amen. Anyone else? I need to let you all go. All right. So next week, and this is just basic. I need to start basic because I need to take you slow and start basic. These are just some basic things that we want to understand about our foods. And I do want to bring one of the things I didn't get to, and I'll get to it next week. We're gonna learn how to read labels. Does anybody know how to read food labels?
I
I'm
do.
okay. You do, Ayana? Okay, we're going to look at food labels. And specifically, probably more the labels that I will be using are those in the United States. There's a specific way that we read them. And even from a marketing perspective, I will expose some of their marketing tactics. Like 100% whole wheat, will keep da 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 da. That's an error. And so we're going to expose some of those marketing tactics and errors. We want to focus in on some of the things that you really want to pay attention to pay attention to when you're looking at your labels. Some things that what should stand out when you see certain items standing out on your labels. How we're going to use those to identify how do I avoid these products? How do I interpret these products? But everything that says healthy is not healthy. Another thing we want to look at, how do I balance my sodium to whatever else, to the other items, and looking at the nutrients of the nutrient content. What do I need to focus on from a sodium content level? Some other things we want to talk about is that if I do exceed my sodium content level, what can I do with something else to bring it back in balance so that I can at least keep it in balance? So I want to give you some techniques on how to get smart about, I really want this particular product, but it's high in sodium, but maybe I can get this and add something else to it that will kind of negate the sodium intake, or just kind of give you some strategies that we can look at as we're looking at our food labels. Does that sound like a plan? Is there anything you want me to cover? Anything in particular that you really want me to focus on?
You mean for next week or futuristically?
Futuristically.
How to maintain a weight loss.
Okay. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. That
Yes,
is
that
a
is.
good one.
Me, I'm interested in the raw diet.
You're interested in what, the paleo diet?
The raw diet, let's call it.
Raw diet. Okay, Jill's going to help me with that. Also, I will have a food demonstration. I'm going to give you all a recipe. I did it last week. I had the recipe last week. I made them, and things just didn't work out with with my YouTube video, and that's why I decided to do the Zoom until I get my YouTube going. I'm going to give you a recipe, and I hope you like this recipe. If you're buying oats, you want to make sure that that the package say gluten-free, and you do want to make sure your oats are organic. You can get organic oats at Walmart's, Aldi's, I'm sure, cheaper than probably elsewhere. But one of the recipes that I'm going to give you, it calls for 1.5 cup of oats, and you will need a blender. 1.5 cups of oats, 1/3 cup of applesauce, unsweetened applesauce. 2 to 3, and you can wait till your bananas, if you do bananas, get overripe. You can use the overripe when they start, when they get to a certain ripeness, you don't want to eat them no more anymore. Just use those bananas, 2 to 3, depending upon how big they are. If they're real big bananas, maybe 2. If they're not, you want to use 3 bananas. If they're smaller ones, and put all of that in a high-speed blender, and you're going to make a batter. Take that batter and put it on. Does everyone have a waffle maker? Who has a waffle maker?
I do.
Okay,
I don't
great.
have one, but I could get one.
Okay, all right.
I don't have
I
one.
do.
All right. They make the best waffles. The best waffles. And depending upon your waffle maker, you want to watch them so you'll know, because I tried to give a time limit once I gave this recipe, and then it didn't work for some. You have to, because waffle makers will vary. So you can watch it to see how long you need to cook it before it turns brown enough to remove from the waffle iron. And I tell you, you can eat them. I don't add any salt to it. This is all I add. 1.5 cup of oats, 1/3 cup of unsweetened applesauce, 2 to 3 bananas, the right bananas. And you can make your waffles. You can freeze them. You can put in the refrigerator. When you freeze You can take them right out of the freezer and pop them in your toaster. The texture is wonderful. My husband likes to spread nut butter on them. I make a cashew cream. Sometimes he'll put cashew cream and then top it with berries, or you could just eat them plain. But they are a good nutritious snack. Sometimes I'll add a few chia seeds. If you want, you could add 1 to 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. If you add the chia seeds, add a little bit more water so that your batter, because the chia seeds will cause your batter to kind of thicken. So you can add a little bit more water to make it less thick, but wonderful. No salt. And when I use my waffle iron, I don't use oil, but if you want to spray it, that's up to you. It's going to be minimal if you spray it, but they make the best waffles and you can enjoy it with apple butter, of course, unsweetened. But this is a good nutritious snack and so I hope you enjoy it. All right, ladies, I wanted to say and gentlemen, but no gentlemen joined us tonight. Continue to keep us in prayer. And this is going to turn out. And so I just want to ask you to come prepared to talk, because this is not just going to be a lecture. We want to have an interactive discussion, talk about some of our experiences. If somebody tried the recipe, I want you to come on, talk about it. Take a picture so you can show us what it turned out, how it turned out, give your thoughts about it. But we want to talk, we want it to be more discussion. And we will also, next week, I'll ask Jill to do a demonstration. I always want to have a healthy food demonstration, something that is very simple to start with before we get to the more complicated type stuff, because I feel like the simpler it is, the more, you will probably implement into your own health and wellness regimen more easily. So we start off with simple and we will grow from there. And I pray that this has been informational. I'm going to come back next week with my study on the Caribbean and the sunshine. But do always know what your vitamin D levels are if you have to ask your doctor to do the test. The other thing, if you are a vegan or a vegetarian, know what your B12 is. These are things we have to keep up with, and we want to make sure that they're at the appropriate levels. With that being said, I'm going to ask Sister Sheila to dismiss us with a prayer, unless someone
Wait,
else.
yeah, I do have 2 questions, Sister Jackie.
Okay.
First thing is, are you going to do a summarized short or something on this meeting? Because 1, I've already forgotten the measurements for the recipe. Is there going to be some place where you're going to put that information? Because you gave us a lot of great nuggets. And even if you can give us maybe in writing, or me, 1 or 2 of those nuggets, I just think that's just such a great aspect of what occurred during the course of this meeting. It's like a takeaway afterthought from Sister Jackie. I think that would just be really, really helpful. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
No, I can
Isn't
do a
it being
summarization.
recorded?
It is
It says
recorded.
that it's
Yes.
being recorded.
Yeah, it
So
is
can we
recorded, and I'm going
replay
to
this
upload it to
thing?
YouTube. Huh?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
So I
I'll
was
upload it.
wondering if she could replay it so that she could get the things that you said.
Yes. Okay. What did you say, Paula? I'm sorry. I didn't hear your last
I was
statement.
just asking if it's recorded, because in that
Oh.
way she'll be able to get the information that she may have missed.
No, I didn't miss
Yes.
any
Yeah, it
information.
is
I want the information because I have family members too that I want to introduce to this program. So they
Yes,
may not be able
it's
to sit for
recorded.
the time frame we were able to sit, but a little snippet of what this is may encourage them to want to make the time to do this.
Okay. I will do a summarization and put it in the women's chat on Mighty Network. How about that? I think everybody
That's
have access to that,
fantastic.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not.
thank you.
I wanted to say something in regards to that because I'm not a member. I had to literally ask Ramona to give me the link to join. I'm not a part of
Okay.
that chat.
Okay.
So
All
if
right.
somebody could add me to it, I would be thankful.
All right. Sister
Sister
Sheila, can you
Sheila,
add? Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry, Jackie. Go ahead.
No, go on. I think you were heading the right way. I think
Yeah,
Sheila.
like Sister Sheila, can you help? Yeah, Sister Sheila, are you still on?
I will ask her to add you, Paula.
Yeah, she
I'll
probably
have
just
her
has it
add you.
unmuted. But yeah, Sister Sheila will add you.
Yeah, we'll have her add you. And yeah, we will have her add you. That was good. And Diane, I have you. So Diane, are you going to increase your water intake? Is that what you're saying, Sister Diane?
She did, but she's gone.
Okay. Okay. And to invite someone, this is not an Adventist forum platform. I mean, this is for anyone outside of the church. So feel free to invite friends that don't have to be a Christian or anything. Everyone is interested in health and wellness. And again, I'm starting small, but this is going to grow. We're going to get into more advanced topics as I've set the foundation and we get the basics down first. All right. So, Sister Paula, can you close us out with prayer?
Thank you, loving Lord, for your goodness and mercies in all things. I thank you that you were able to allow your daughter to share with us as you inspire her, as you provide the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that she needed to create this podcast and to be so willing to be helpful to us, oh God, to find the time and to provide the time to share the information to help us with our health. I pray that you will continue to allow her to prosper. I pray that each person that is on this line will not hold the information for themselves, but will share it with others. And I pray that as we attend these podcasts, you will allow us the grace and the mercy to implement the changes that you need us to have in our lives to be healthier. Because as the body of Christ is healthy, or the temple that your Holy Spirit live in is healthy, more can be done for you to spread the gospel. So we give you thanks for the opportunity to do this. In Jesus Christ's name, it's our prayer. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, Sister Sheila's going to drink more water. Okay. Let me pray to them.
Amen.
All right. Sister Sheila, add Sister Paula to the, I see that you're coming. Can you add Sister Paula to the women's chat? She will, Sister Paula. I know she's not listening. All righty.
Thank you.
Okay.
All righty. Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
ladies. Take
All right.
care.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Right.
night.
Thank you, Sister Jackie. Good